7 minutes past 3 in the morning, a gloved hand held out a toll ticket from a plaza that was torn down before my mother learned to drive. The stamp read 304, the date read October of 1973, and the cardstock was soft, like paper that has spent a night in the rain. There was no rain. I worked the last staffed cash lane on a spur turnpike in northern New England, one lit booth in a row of dark ones, under gantries that bill everyone else by mail. The authority keeps it for rental cars, cash holdouts, and drivers whose transponders have died, which is to say, almost nobody. Overnight it is one collector, one drawer, one gate arm, and a coffee maker that manages heat or flavor, never both. I got the job in March, after the mill I clerked for closed its office side, and a woman named Renata trained me before she retired. Renata had run that booth for 31 years, and she taught me the drawer, the codes, the radio, and then, on her last night, the hour. Between 3 and 4, she said, you may get paper. Not the barcoded slips our machines spit out, but the old punched tickets, yellow cardstock, purple ink. If you get paper, you lift the gate and you take nothing. Not the fare, not a tip, not a word beyond what a toll window owes anybody. You may look at the ticket and the hand that gives it, and at nothing else. Never past the wrist and never into the car. Then she opened the cabinet under the terminal and showed me a hand crank with a red grip, wired to nothing. If the arm will not lift, she said, you crank it up yourself, and you keep your face to the booth while they go through. I asked her what the tickets were. She rinsed her cup, set her key on the sill, and said the turnpike was older than its machines, and some of its customers older still. I looked it up anyway, the way she must have known I would. 4 exits south, where the road now runs straight along the river, there was once a curve through a cut called Alder Notch and a barrier plaza with 6 booths. On a night of hard rain in October of 1973, an overnight coach out of the city took the notch too fast, clipped the plaza island, and went through the rail. 26 people went into the flooded river, and the papers from that week never agreed on how many came out. The state straightened the road 2 years later and pulled the plaza down, booths, canopy, and all. The last photograph shows wet asphalt shining and one gate arm standing straight up, though the caption says the power was already cut. The sedan under my window that first night was long and dark, and its idle was more a pressure than a sound. The glove was leather, cracked across the knuckles, and it held the ticket out with the patience of something that has waited in worse lines. I did as I had been told, because at 3 in the morning, obedience is a warm room you do not want to leave. I pressed the override, the arm swung up, and the sedan slid through, tires never quite seeming to turn. The ticket stayed in my hand, damp at one corner, smelling faintly of river water. I logged the pass as an equipment test, as the index card in the drawer said too, and by 4 the plaza belonged to the moths. After that they came maybe twice a month, always between 3 and 4, never 2 nights running. A different hand each time, one small enough to be a child's, and once a sleeve of wet wool that steamed in my lane light. The tickets were always Alder Notch, always stamped inside that hour, always dated that October night. I kept them under a rubber band at the back of the drawer, because throwing them out felt like a door I did not want to be on the wrong side of. Daytime, the lane is ordinary. Sunburned families count out singles, truckers wave, and the worst thing in the booth is the smell of hot coins. I kept the overnight bid anyway, because the hour had begun to feel like mine to keep. The trouble with a rule is that it draws a shape around the exact thing you start to want. By August I knew the sedan's grille, the school bus yellow of the old tickets, and the particular cold that came off those cars, like air off a creek at night. What I never saw was a face, and on slow nights I could feel my eyes wanting to drift past the wrist, casual as a yawn. One night in September I got as far as the side mirror. I caught the edge of the driver's window in it, a rectangle of deeper dark, and something in that dark turned toward me the way a fish turns in cloudy water. I raised the arm, kept my eyes on the drawer until my neck ached, and after a long minute the sedan pulled through. I did not try the mirror again. In October, the authority wrote to every collector left in the system. All electronic tolling would reach our spur by spring, the letter said, and we were thanked for our years of courteous service. Renata called me when she heard. She was quiet a moment, and then she asked what I meant to do about the hour, as if it were a dog we co-owned. I told her I did not know. Somebody opened that gate before you, she said, and somebody opened it before me, and the road does not much care whose hand is on the crank. The 9th of October came in on a warm front, and by midnight the rain stood like a gray wall between my booth and the gantries. The radio gave a flood watch for 3 counties, and the river 4 exits south was already out of its banks. Traffic thinned to nothing by 2. At 3:10, headlights came up the ramp, set higher and wider apart than any cars. They came on slow, shouldering the rain aside, and behind them a shape put itself together, one wiper stroke at a time, long, high-backed, rounded like old kitchen furniture. It was a coach, the kind you see in photographs of downtowns that no longer look like that, 2 tones of paint under 50 years of night. The bus drew level with my window and stopped, and the rain on its roof sounded softer than the rain on mine, as if falling from much farther up. The door at the front stayed shut. The driver's window slid down instead, and a sleeve the color of wet slate came out, holding not one ticket but a banded block of them. Tickets for the whole coach, punched and stamped, 26 of them, though I never counted because I already knew. I took the bundle, and the cold off that sleeve was the cold of a cellar with its door left open all winter. I said what a toll window owes anybody, which is good night, and pressed the override. Nothing happened. The terminal screen died in a blue-white flash, the lane light died over it, and down the plaza the gantries went out one by one, like rooms going dark along a hall. The gate arm lay flat across the lane in the headlights of the bus, and the rain came down through those 2 long beams like static. The booth, for the first time since March, was just a small dark box with me inside it. I found the cabinet by feel and the red grip inside it, and the crank fit a socket at the base of the gate that I had never seen used. I put my back to the bus as I had been told, though everything from shoulder to ear was begging to do the arithmetic on what sat behind that glass. The crank took both hands. The arm rose a few degrees at a stroke, ratcheting, and under the rain I could hear the coach's engine breathing at my back, unhurried as weather. Water found the gap in my collar and went down my spine in one long line. When the arm stood straight up, I stepped against the booth wall, held the crank like a railing, and looked at the wet concrete between my boots. The bus came past slow. Window after window went by at my back, each one laying a square of colder air across my shoulders, like open doorways in an unheated house. I counted the cold without wanting to, the way you count stairs in the dark. 26. At the last one, level with my ear, something said a word. It was small and dry, half under the engine, and it might have been thanks, and it might have been a name, and I have stopped needing to know. The tail lights went down the far ramp, 2 red points wavering in the water on my lashes, and the rain closed behind them like a curtain held aside as a courtesy. The power came back at 4 exactly. The terminal rebooted, complained about the outage, and printed a lane report showing no vehicle in my lane all night. The bundle of tickets sat by the drawer, string and all, dry as August. I logged an equipment test. The lane closed for good on the last day of April. They gave us sheet cake in the maintenance garage, and by summer the booths were gone and the island was ground down smooth under new asphalt. The gantries do the whole job now, and there is no window left on that road to hand anything through. But there is a swing gate where my island used to be, the kind the state locks across the ramp in a flood, and a contract for somebody local to mind it on storm nights. I put in for it before anyone else knew it existed, and the red-handled crank lives behind the seat of my truck because the scrappers never asked. Most storm nights are only storm nights. I drink my thermos, watch the rain move through the light bar, and go home when the river settles. But on the 9th of October I park where my window used to be, a little before 3, and I swing the gate wide and stand facing my truck while the hour has the road. Last October, when the rain had thinned, there was a yellow ticket under my wiper blade, punched, stamped 304. I keep it in the visor. The road is unmanned now from the city line to the bridge, and the machines bill by mail, and none of that seems to matter to what travels between 3 and 4. Somebody has to open the gate is all, and for now, on the 9th of October in the rain, somebody does.